Welcome, everyone. It's good to see all of you here. On behalf of Life Church West, I am appreciative of you taking the time to come here and to show respect and support for the Hanners family. On behalf of Life Church West, we're here for you. There's several of us here, and we're grateful to have been a part of certainly Dwight's life, and also to have the opportunity to meet Dallas Hanners. I had just a moment to meet him once here, I believe at a banquet here in the church, and was thoroughly blessed by just those few moments. Even in his later years, the strength of the man was very evident, and I felt enriched by that moment for sure. We appreciate, again, all of you being here. We're going to invite Dwight at this time to come and share about his father, and then give an opportunity for others to share as well. Dwight? And as a reminder, when folks are speaking, please do use the microphone. We have some folks that are joining remotely and would appreciate hearing the words that you have to say.
Hello, everyone. I'm thankful for everyone here and all those watching online for being, to celebrate the memory of my father. And I want to speak on the obituary here. Dallas Carroll Hanners was born on February 1st, 1954 in Dunklin County, Missouri, and passed away peacefully in Tacoma, Washington on November 10th, 2025. At the age of 91, Dallas grew up on the family farm where he learned the values of hard work and responsibility at an early age. Following the passing of his father, he assumed many of the responsibilities necessary to keep the farm running. He later answered the call to serve his country, being drafted into the United States Army during the Korean War. He completed specialized training and war maneuvers in Alaska, serving with pride and dedication. On April 19, 1958, Dallas married the love of his life, Opal Joanne. Together they built a life grounded in love, faith, and family, raising 3 children, Dwight, Rebecca, and Carol. Dallas was a devoted husband and father, and his family remained the center of his world. He preceded in death by his beloved wife, Joanne. On November 2nd, 2011, his daughter, Carol Annette Lopez. On October 14th, 2020, his parents, James and Beulah Hanners, his siblings, Maxine, Lee, Virginia Bowes, Bill Hanners, Carolyn Chambliss, and Daniel Hanners, and numerous aunts and uncles and cousins. Dallas is survived by his son, Dwight Hanners, his daughter, Rebecca Becken, and his last surviving sibling, Sue Shaver. A hardworking man throughout his life, Dallas spent more than 30 years as an automotive mechanic before embarking on his second career as a commercial truck driver, a role he continued until his retirement. He especially cherished attending family reunions, maintaining close connections with loved ones through the years. Dallas will be deeply missed and lovingly remembered by all who knew him. I wanted to add a few things to that. My dad, when he was in the military, he was out here at Fort Lewis, and I don't know exactly how the connections came, but he connected up with Melvin Wagner Sr., which was a pastor at the time, and he was going to that church. And then when we came back out, when he was out of the military, and he married my mother, and we came back out here in '62, by that time, Melvin Wagner Sr. was the assistant pastor of the UPC church in Tacoma under Pastor Werner, and we started going out there to that church at that time, and we went there for many, many years. And there's some people here today that were a part of that church, and I appreciate all of you people showing up. And then I just got some memories of my dad that I want to discuss about, me and my dad went fishing a lot, and I remember all those different times, and sometimes it was at the ocean. We would go ocean fishing on the charter boats, and we'd take a whole group of people from the church with us out there and go fishing all day long. We had a lot of fun times. I just remember a lot of fun times with my dad. And then we'd go camping sometimes, and it's just a lot of memories. I have something here. It's a letter that I found just the other day. I was cleaning up the house, and I found a letter that my dad wrote when a few years ago, when he was a young boy. At the farm, this letter describes a few things, and I would like to read this. This is something that he wrote. I didn't know that he wrote this. I just found this just a few days ago. So it starts, I can remember 1930, well, he was born in 34, so he was 3 years old. I can remember 1937 was a very wet year. I was 3 years old, and the bottom land my father was farming was all flooded with water. I remember playing like I was fishing from our front porch because the water was all around our house. My father was a sharecropper, so we moved in 1938 to another farm, and my father worked for Mr. Mason. I don't remember very much except that lightning struck the team of mules my father was working with and killed the mules. Everyone was talking about it being a miracle that Dad did not get killed. I can still remember playing by the side of the house with my toys such as I had. I pretended I was farming like Dad. At that time, my parents lost a son 2 years younger than me, and I was always wanted a brother to play with. In 1939, we stayed in the same house, and I was able to go to school. I liked all the children and the teacher, Mr. Roy Ashabrand. He would take me for walks at noon. He would give me rides on his shoulders. It seemed like school was going to be a lot of fun. That year I got a new brother. He was very fragile and he almost died. I could not wait to have him as a playmate. We had a brood sow which had a litter of pigs. Mom gave me strict orders to stay away from the pig pen, but I slipped outside and was playing with the little pigs, and one of them squealed and the old sow came at me. I jumped through the fence and tore a 3-inch gash on my right leg. One of my older sisters and me got a box of matches and was behind the house striking them, and my mom caught us, and she told Dad, and he thought a spanking was in order. So while he was spanking my sister, I took off running and looked around and saw my dad's long legs catching up to me. I never tried running after that. That fall, after the crops were gathered, my dad put in for a FHA loan to set himself up in farming. His loan was approved. He rented a 100-acre farm about 40 miles from where we were. We moved around New Year's. There was a store about 2.5 miles from the farm. I was about halfway through the first grade at that time, but was not able to go to the school due to bad roads, range cattle which would attack sometimes, and flooding. We missed about a half year of school that year. We moved to another farm which was all bottom land, and we had a very wet year, so we just barely made expenses. We got another sister that year. I remember our neighbor's son went to war after 3 months. He died in the war. There was a lot of airplanes training over our farm for the war. A couple of them crashed not too far from the house, and no one survived because of the war. We could hardly buy anything due to rationing stamps. That's all he wrote on that one. And let's see. I wanted to also mention that I don't remember exactly when it was, but my mom was still alive. She was still living at home with us, with me and my dad. I think it was probably about 17 or 18 years ago, roughly. And my dad came up to me and told me that he had a dream about my mother. And he told me that he saw her in a beautiful field somewhere. And it had a lot of flowers in it. And she was leaping through the fields, leaping through them, just having all kinds of fun, just happy as could be. And he wanted to go to her, but there was something blocking, and he couldn't get to her. And he was frustrated with that. But he just kept watching her leaping through the fields. And then he woke up from his dream. I believe that that barrier that was there is now gone. And he's with her in those fields, leaping through those fields with her. And so I just wanted to say that as well. And if there's anybody here that wants to come up here and speak about my dad with their memories of my dad, I want to open it up to that right now so that, because I'm sure there's going to be somebody that wants to. So I just want to open it up for that.
Thanks, Dwight. I'm Jesse Lopez, son-in-law of Dallas and Joanne Hanners. My sons are in the second row there. My daughter couldn't make it. I want to just extend condolences to all the family that are watching online. I was really glad to be taken in readily into the family when I met. I'd known Annette for a long time. When we got together in '94, we met the rest of the family in Arkansas, went to Missouri, met more people there. The reunion was in '94. We had a great time. We met a lot of family there. I didn't get to meet Maxine because she had already passed, but everybody else was there. It was wonderful. The family, just family-oriented. And what I can remember about Dallas is that he was always about family. Always wanted to go back, always wanted to visit everybody and stay in touch. He would call at least one or two family members on the weekends when he could. I remember him just talking with everybody, and that was really, really wonderful. I'm gonna miss him. He was always there to help anybody in need. He would probably give his shirt off his back if he could to help anybody out. My condolences again for everybody that's not here also, so God bless. All right, Mike.
Hi, I'm Michael. Hi, I'm Michael Lee, and it's my uncle. My memories are when I was little, we lived in Southern California, and about every 6 months he'd load up the Rambler. He loved Ramblers, and he always had a Rambler wagon, it seemed like, and he would drive down there where we were at. He'd always pull up and say, "What do you need fixed?" I'd get out and play with the wife and the girls. And he'd always work on Dad's car or the neighbor's car or somebody's car, you know. He liked to do that. He had the ability. We lived down there 10 years, and I would say they visited half a dozen times, probably. Then we went away to Oklahoma. I joined the military, and when I came back, I wanted to reconnect with my uncle, so I did. And it's a very long story over the years, but he would come out there to Oklahoma and Arkansas about once a year, I think, Dwight, wasn't it? And we'd get in the car and we'd drive over and zigzag through all the kinfolk. And I always liked being with him because he was always a positive guy, you know, upbeat. he could walk amongst a crowd of people grumbling and he would go away. And so that's my uncle. I love him dearly. Yes. How do you turn this thing on?
Is there anybody else that wants to say anything? I'll say a few more words. My dad, he did like, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh.
I'll say something later.
Okay. Thanks. So I'm not family. I'm Jessica. I'm Jessica Troy. We built a house across the street from Dwight and Dallas in Midland. And he was just, I mean, you guys know, he was just such a special person. So we lived there. We built the house for, I don't know, a couple of years, and we lived there for a year. And he would just show up at the door, and he knew how to do everything. I remember we had this, it was like a fence of blackberries. And so he would come in the summer and just pick blackberries and can them and share his canning with us. And I remember after his wife died, he made quilts for everybody out of the clothes. And then we moved back to town, back to Tacoma. And he would just show up, like he would visit, I don't know if it was Sundays, but he would just show up at our house and come in and visit for a while, tell old stories, and then be on his way and probably go visit somebody else in town. And I just feel like he like embodied this old way of like connecting with people and knowing how to like be self-sufficient, and that's just so unusual, and it's like more and more unusual as time goes on, and we lose people like Dallas, and just he was such a special person. Even though we weren't family, we didn't know him for super long, but he was a really special person in my mind. So that's mine. Thanks.
I got one.
Oh.
So also a neighbor, and I remember on a couple of occasions, Dallas was just a great neighbor. He was just such a wonderful neighbor to have, and he was always helping us with the cars and the thing. You know, he was just always there, super helpful. But another part of his persona was he was really protective of our place and not overbearing. But when we were off at school and work and everything, the house was, you know, just by itself out there. He was always watching it. And a couple of German shepherds got out from some other neighbors, and they were chasing the chickens around. And Dallas took it upon himself to chase these dogs down and get rid of them, and then also to go to the dog's owner and tell the dog's owner just how serious it was if those dogs had taken down a chicken. And there was another occasion where we had a friend who was supposed to be there working on the house, but that friend didn't really look that responsible or that upstanding, and Dallas took it upon himself to research this man's credentials and make sure that he was there on good pretense. And he was the best watchdog, the best, and did it in a really friendly way, you know?
I greet you in the name of Jesus, and I'm a Life Church member, and we fellowship with Brother Dwight. And there was this time that Mr. Dwight wanted to go and see a friend in Oregon, and he was wondering now, whom am I going to leave my dad with? So a sister reached out to me, and me being a caregiver, I told the sister, tell him to call me so that we may be able to find out how we are going to do about it. So he called me, and he told me that he wanted to go to Oregon. There's a friend of his who was not in good condition, and like he was almost, going. So I said, yes, I will come and take care of your dad. So I stayed with Dwight's dad for 4 days, and the short time that we interacted, I could tell he is someone who has a God in him, because he was friendly, he was interactive, and we interacted very, very well. We didn't have any problem when I was taking care of him. So those are some of the memories I remember about his dad, and I just want to encourage you, Dwight, that all will be well. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was saying, okay, this is a week of Thanksgiving. And here we are. We are talking of someone who has gone, and it is time for Thanksgiving. So I felt that I wanted to let him know that give thanks. Let's give thanks. This being a Thanksgiving time, let's just give him thanks for his life. Because all things work together for good. It is the Lord who gives, and it is the Lord who takes. So there's some things you have no control of, but to just accept that it is the will of God that whatever happens under his watch. So I just felt I say those few words. Though I felt so bad, I knew he was in a nursing home, and because of the nature of my work, I was not able to go and see him. So that part, I feel, I don't know. So God bless you all, and God bless you.
The part about him liking to always drive Ramblers hit home. I had a brother, and that's all he would ever drive, was a Rambler. I could never figure that out, and I think I figured it out today. Thank you. I didn't get to know Dallas that much, but being friends with his son here at church, I would always hear stories. And when a dad can impact a son like that, to where he will make him a part of his daily conversation. A generation is passing. My wife and I, we did senior care, and we've seen a lot of his generation go. And I told Dwight, I want to meet your dad. I don't want to hear about him. He said, well, he's getting pretty old. And I said, that's not a problem. That's not a problem, but that's a good thing. And Dwight and I, we used to get together and have Bible studies down in Ruston at a little restaurant there. And he started bringing his dad. And I could sense immediately, this is a good man. This is a strong man. This is a man worthy of honor, respect. And I felt that I was blessed because he was there. And during the time of his transitioning, I knew it was hard for my friend, but it's beautiful to see that he's not leaving without some that come to show honor and respect to him, and God bless.
Yeah, I'll say a little bit more. There's just so many memories, and I do remember those trips we made across country. When we moved out here, we were away from most of our relatives, and so we would make trips back every year. And my dad, he really enjoyed those family trips. I think that was one of the highlights of his life, and especially towards the end of his life. My cousin here today, he helped, assisted in that with my dad in the later years, so that my dad, when he was not able to drive anymore, that my dad could take a plane trip and go, and my cousin could take him to all the different relatives' house and visit, because that seemed like that's all he lived for at the very last. And but there, you know, we had a lot of trips in those Rambler station wagons when I was a kid. Then my dad, you know, I'll mention this also. My dad got me into truck driving with him. He wanted to be a truck driver, and so I was driving his truck for a while, and then I eventually got my own. But he loved the big trucks, and he drove those trucks until he retired, and he would go down to California a lot and take loads down there and then come back. And my mom missed him a lot. It was kind of hard on my mom with my dad gone a lot, but it seemed to work out in the long run. But it's just a lot of memories. Anyway, is there anybody else that has anything they want to say?
Thanks, Dwight. Give honor to the Hanners family, and I was a young kid, about 15 years old, when I started going to United Pentecostal Church in Tacoma, and I don't know what year Dallas came in, but if you saw the big bus and the pictures up there, that was Tacoma United Pentecostal Church bus, and he picked up the kids in the neighborhood and drove that, and he was dedicated to that. He had no problem getting there early on Sunday morning, going out and picking up kids and bringing them to Sunday school. And so I've known the Hanners family for over 50 years. We're getting older, aren't we? But it was a blessing to. I didn't remember that he had served in the military, but it was a blessing to see that he was a fellow veteran and served our country. And Dallas was just watching the films or the pictures and reading the obituary there is just, it just reminded me of how hard worker he was. He wasn't afraid to show up for a work party. He wasn't afraid to help when it needed. He gave and gave and gave, and that's my memories of. We call them Brother Hanners, brother and sister Hanners. What a wonderful family, and Dwight and his sisters.
Brother Dwight, I think your father and mother would be very proud of you today and the honor that you are giving them. It's a wonderful thing. Now, I got to say, I kind of marvel at how many people have traveled between St. Louis, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and the state of Washington. But there seems to be a large group of people that have that same repeated pattern and story of moving from the Midwest out to the Northwest. In waiting on the Lord, you know, there was a thought that came to me that I want to share with you. I'm just going to read a couple of scriptures, but it's a very deep impression. The first stories that I heard from comments that some of you have told me were that you remember Dallas Hanners as the Sunday school bus driver over at Tacoma, and the associations with the La Crosse family, having pastored there for many, many years. And we have other folks here that attended during that time. And our lives become marked by seasons of time. And the things that our parents do often sets the course for what we do. And there were apparently steps that were made by both Dallas and Opal, Joanne, that set a course and has impacted the life of Dwight. Now let me read this to you. In Psalms 145:2, every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise thy works to another generation, and shall declare thy mighty acts. In Joel chapter 1 we read, the word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel, hear this, ye old men, and give ear. All ye inhabitants of the land, hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children. Deuteronomy 6:6, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And then one more. Genesis chapter 17:7. I will establish my covenant between me and thee. This is what happens when a man or a woman turns their heart wholly towards the Lord. It establishes and begins a covenant that from God's side of the agreement is with mankind. And it is a spiritual exchange that takes place that lives on. And when a parent has done this, this will have a direct impact on their children, because the Bible speaks many times from generation to generation and to your children and your children's children. So the actions that Dallas and Opal took together, the season of time that they spent in the house of God in Tacoma together, has had direct bearing and impact upon this man sitting in the front row. I remember when he surfaced just a couple years ago, and he said to me, I just felt like it was time to get back to the house of God. Now, he didn't tell about all the season of time that was in between there, but there was apparently a season. But something that had been initiated, not in his generation, but the generation before him. His mother and his father planted something, started something, put something in motion that today Dwight Hanners spends time every week at Bible studies, every week at services, church services. He has told me of various times where he has had seasons of prayer and seen God answer many prayers. And there's a witness in my spirit, every story that he has told me, that God has moved and worked in his life. And again, he said, I just began to think it was time for me to get back to the house of God. He's been here ever since. I give honor to Dallas Hanners. I too was at the breakfast that he came and sat with us at and visited with some, and it's been a blessing to come to know the family primarily through the son. I wonder if we could pray together before we dismiss and go out to the cemetery if you're making the journey. Would you stand with me? Father, we know that our lives are but a vapor. They are for a season and a moment in time. But you, Father, you wait upon eternity for each and every one of us. And we're so thankful for the blessings and the things that you wrought through the life of this man, Dallas Hanner, and the impact that he has had, not just on his family, but on his neighborhood. And the positive statements that we have heard today of a man that had character because he cared for those that were around him. We entrust the soul and the body of this man into your hand because you are just in everything that you do. I pray your blessing upon Dwight from this day forward, for his siblings and for his relatives, the extended family, the friends, and the neighborhood of where he has lived for many years. We ask these things in your mighty, mighty name, Jesus Christ. Amen. God bless you. I'm going to turn it over to Brother Kendrick.
Such a precious time we've had here today. The key theme, honor and respect. There will be a service immediately following this at the Tahoma National Cemetery. If you have not had an opportunity to witness or participate in military honors, I would encourage you definitely want to see that. And so when we conclude here, there will be a few moments, a time of viewing for those that would like that, and then there will be a small window of time and a transition for us to make our way out to Tahoma National Cemetery. The address is in the program. If you need any help finding it, please do let us know. The way this will work is that we will arrive there in sort of a waiting area. They'll direct us to where it is that we will be queuing, and then at the moment we will all proceed into the service from there. And we will continue at that point. Again, thank you all very much for being here and for joining with us. To reiterate what has been said already, Life Church is here to help any of those who need some help during this time of transition. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us here. And with that, we will conclude, and I'll turn this over to the funeral directors here to conclude their work. Bit of an older building here. If you need the restrooms, they're through that door upstairs or downstairs. Anything else you need, let us know, and we'll see you by no later than 11 at the graveside. Thank you.